Hi, everyone. It's Father Mark Livingston from the Archdiocese of Detroit, and I'm back to talk about forgiveness once again. And this one, I want to talk to you about the process of forgiveness. Before I talk to you about how forgiving we have to look at it through the lens of maybe accounting and debt, and how we can pity the one who is, built up or incurred a debt of love and respect with us that can't be repaid. And here, once we have the pity, we have to deal with maybe the recurrences where, whether it's through memory or whether it's through experiences or that are ongoing, how do we continue to have this beautiful forgiveness so that we can have some freedom of heart? So today I want to read for you an excerpt from Matthew 18, verses 21 and 22. Then Peter, approaching, asked him, "Lord, if my brother sins against me, how often must I forgive him? As many as 7 times?" Jesus answered, "I say to you, not 7 times, but 77 times." This beautiful passage coming from Jesus about the number of times we should forgive is not an actual amount. And in other translations, it says 70 times 7 times. Now, this isn't like the amount and you should be keeping score saying, okay, I'm getting close to 240 or whatever, or 77. It's a number of perfection, meaning, the perfect world of the Lord, right, was made in 7 days. And so the understanding of the number seven meant it's complete. He rested on the seventh day. So complete and total, perfect forgiveness. This is what he's asking of us. Now, this can be really tricky. We've all experienced wounds in life, and those wounds can be fresh, they can be deep, they can be fresh and deep. And this takes a particular way of dealing with these things because they live on in our memory. And guess who loves to play with our memory and imagination? We could be washing dishes, cutting the lawn, we could be working out in the barn or whatever we're doing. And suddenly that thing pops back into our head out of nowhere. We weren't thinking of it. We weren't even worried about it. And that memory comes back to us. And suddenly we're reliving it emotionally, and we're getting angry maybe, or we're even starting to imagine, either violent or disturbing things, or ways we would tell them off next time, that kind of thing. Don't worry, I know we all do it, right? You're not uniquely troubled or something. This particular, though, passage, Jesus is asking of us to take a stance towards a process that we learn about forgiveness that's going to be ongoing throughout our lives. That forgiveness is a process, I believe, is just a well-known fact emotionally, but maybe not something that's spoken about often. How do we deal with this? I think we need sometimes distance from the one who has hurt us. Sometimes there are difficulties where we're not safe. Sometimes there are challenges that really can't be rectified often. And so we sometimes just need distance from the one. Maybe it's temporary, maybe it's permanent. Sometimes people can be very cruel. Sometimes people have major illnesses and struggles they're dealing with, and we just need to take some time to rest and be distant and to heal. Other times, we just need the time with intervention, right? When we've gone through difficult things, we need some time with intervention. Sometimes people say, time heals all wounds. No, it can cause wounds to be worse, actually, if we keep festering on them with the time. What matters is what we do with the time that we have. So, do you need to go to counseling for something? Do you need to maybe work on a relationship and maybe rectify past hurts? Because often they kind of escalate each other, right? I've hurt so-and-so, they've hurt me. I've hurt so-and-so, they've hurt me. And things are about to blow off the roof. And what we need is someone just to say, hey, can we just try to start over here? We need intervention over time. So distance sometimes, intervention over time. And the last thing we need is we need to deal with memories and imaginations as they come up, right? So when Jesus says, forgive 70 times 7 times, or 77 times. We kind of think Peter just kind of is brushing his shoulders off like he just nailed it. How many times should I forgive? 7 times? Huh? Like, look at how merciful I am. And Jesus corrects him saying, no, 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 all the time, every time. Every time it pops up in our heads again, we have to kind of deal with this again. For example, if someone hurt me in the past and it pops up into my head, St. Ignatius had a lot to say about this. He said, our thoughts lead to feelings, lead to desires, right? So we think about this way of being. Our thoughts lead to feelings, lead to desires. Oftentimes, we as sentient people, or people who have feelings and experiences and senses, we have to look at this, and we often catch it at the desire or the strong feeling side of things. So we've already passed the thoughts, right? The thoughts have already occurred. And next thing you know, we're either imagining getting back at them, or we're feeling something that's so disturbing, we're like angry, like we're reliving it over again. And what we need to do is recognize that we're desiring something that's not from the Lord, go backwards and say, what am I feeling right now? And then go back further and say, what was I just thinking about? And when we realize this, we start to realize this temptation came as a memory out of nowhere. It disturbed me and made me sad, hopeless, helpless, and angry again. And now I'm desiring to do something, right? That's maybe not holy. When we can catch this in a pattern, we'll be able to head it off and say, in the future, we'll be able to catch it more and more quickly, right? That, okay, I'm starting to feel something I'm frustrated, Someone said something to me the other day, and it was something about money or something in the bank, and how are we going to deal with this in the parish? And right away, I started to kind of feel just frustrated throughout the day. And I had to look back at that and go, okay, wait a minute, what just happened? Oh yeah, the money. And I started to realize this went back a ways to where I felt like I was kind of incompetent. That was the lie that the devil put into that wound back in the day. Incompetent. And the feeling of not feeling like I had it under control or was doing a good enough job. Don't worry, it wasn't anything major. But still, it can be something minor that makes us feel and experience that old wound that Satan is trying to tempt us with by that memory, that feeling, that desire that's not healthy. We deal with this, number one, by saying, in the name of Jesus, get out of here. In the name of Jesus, whatever is tempting me back to remember this and experience it all over again, get out of here in the name of Jesus. And then secondly, I forgive them again. Oh, I forgive that person again, that as I analyzed it back, I realized it came from this situation. I forgive them again, Lord. Lord, I pity whatever brokenness would have caused them to treat me like that. Father, forgive them. They didn't know what they were doing. And then peace can start to return as I pray, right? And I pray from the heart. So this is a great way, I hope, a good method for you so that you don't feel, number one, like you're abnormal, and number two, like you have no recourse to fix this. The Lord wants you to be free of all unforgiveness. It's a process. Wounds that are fresh and deep will come back to us. The devil's going to try to tempt us into despair, hopelessness, anger, hatred, bitterness, unforgiveness, rivalry, jealousy, all these things. And when we start to experience these things and we analyze it backwards, saying desires, feelings, thoughts, then we can figure out who's behind it. We can renounce it, forgive again, and move forward. Unless we forgive our brother from the heart, we will not, be forgiven. This is what Jesus says at the end of Matthew 18. Let's be people who are constantly trying to forgive perfectly, completely, fully, and every time. God bless you, my friends.